Steve Martin, head coach Jason Simpson, the team 26-7 winners over TSU this week. They got Charleston Southern coming to Martin. So, coach, thoughts on your team, and we'll go to some questions.
They're good. Obviously good win, good win at home, good conference win at home. Thought the defense obviously played really well. Gave up negative 12 yards rushing and I think it gave up one big play of 23 yards. Besides that, really, controlled the game on that side. Offensively, we had 53 rushes for 300 something yards, then, gave up two sacks, which bumped it back down, I think, to 297. So, says a lot about, proud of our offensive line and running backs and quarterbacks and tight ends. Did a good job controlling the ground game. We were doing what we thought we needed to do to win the game and be successful. Doesn't always, pan out like that. This particular game, the way we were playing on defense and controlling. I think we had the ball 12 minutes and almost over 30 seconds in the first quarter. All right, even though we only scored 7 points, but kind of had control of the game. So anyway, proud of the kids. We blocked a punt. All right, kind of gave us some momentum, in that first half, and so good team win.
We talked about the time of possession again. You said that wasn't the game plan, but yeah, 39 minutes of time of possession too. So, I mean, if you could keep the ball that much every game, you might say you might win the game, right?
Well, no doubt about it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of it's, out of necessity because it's taking us that long to score. Okay, so, wasn't any 50-yard plays or anything like that. But no, I mean, we call the game, trying to get first downs and hope enough first downs, flip the field, and if we break a tackle, but. No, it's not some mastermind plan that we have. It's a combination of things, right? The defense got off field on some third downs, quickly, some three and outs. So, that, and then our offense was, was staying out there. So, it's worked out like this year. Some of it's lack of big plays. Some of it is good execution, or most of it's probably solid execution, by, offense and defense.
And over the years, you've had some two-headed monster running back teams, right? And this year, it
Yeah.
hasn't been quite as many 100-yard games. So to have Tommy and Chris both go over 100 yards, if you need them at some point, the rest of the season, that would seem to be good.
No, you're right. Very, very, like I said, very proud of those kids. Tommy's been kind of steady for us throughout the season. Chris has really come on of late in the last two games, rushing over 200 yards, combined. So very proud of those kids and, appreciate their willingness to compete and, take the coaching and get better. And they're helping our football team right now.
I think that was the eighth block kick of the year. I don't know, is that the most you've ever been around as a team?
We've done a good job over the years on field goals and PATs, and it's just kind of, I don't think it's any great, maybe scheme that we have. It's just a belief that we teach lineup, and it's a scoring play. It's a defensive play for us. And then, TJ Jefferson handles our special teams, and that punt return unit, that was a freshman Trey Cotton. We don't go after a lot of kicks. We're probably more of a return team, but the time that we did, we were able to get there, and that was good to see.
And you referenced the defense, but it seemed to me balanced. Like, and nobody's stats stick out. A lot of people
Yeah.
had TFLs, a lot of people had tackles. So you got a lot of people in there making contributions.
No, you're right, Kyle. I was telling that on the radio show last night. This is probably the most balanced team that I've ever coached, and it's an enjoyable team to coach. There's besides Keyshawn, okay. With the sacks and tackles for loss, right? I don't know that we've got a guy that's just going to jump off that stat sheet, from an all conference standpoint. But yet they're sitting here 5-1 right now, after 6 games. So when I say team and that we win by complementary football, that's like I said, that's what this team has done, and it takes a lot of selfless people to do that and to go back to practice, the next day, and whether you didn't catch a ball or complete a pass or, because that's not how the game went. I think it says a lot about our coaches and our players.
Maybe the most important thing is you got Davis Gregory take his shirt off and crowd surf after the game, and we talked about that earlier in the year. So thoughts about that?
I told him. I've been a part of a lot of first here at UT Martin, right? First time we went to the playoffs, first time we won the leagues, first time we beat an FBS program. A lot of firsts that I'm proud of, but seeing him take his shirt off, in that victory locker room, right? That probably ranks up there. So, and what I was impressed, one of the coaches said they didn't know he had hit puberty yet, and so seeing him, with a little arm hair and different things. So, but we love Davis, man. He's very good at his job. Brings a lot of enthusiasm, professionalism, to our communication department, and it was good to have him in there.
Well, let's talk about your opponent in Charleston Southern and what you've seen on them. And last year they lost a bunch of real close games, and it seems this year they've won some of those close games they've been in.
No, they've done a great job. Really have really impressive. You go back to their last five conference games, lost two. What was it, Gardner Webb and Tennessee Tech? I mean, Gardner Webb, what was it, 27-30, and then the hell, competed with Tech, who's an outstanding team, and then they've won three in a row in the conference. And I think the quarterback's a very good player. I think he's thrown for over 280 yards in the last two games. So they've got a good passing scheme, good scheme, and the quarterback's one of the more natural throwers, in the league. The running back early had a lot of big plays in their duo game. Defensively, they're very multiple. You very rarely see the same defense or coverage, in consecutive snaps. So you have to really, rely on your quarterback and your center to try to give you a chance to, identify the front and stuff. So they cause a lot of confusion. They create a lot of negative plays for you. So no, it's a challenge for us. So luckily we're at home, and hopefully we can capitalize of being at home.
Yeah, what you said about multiple players, they've had a couple, two or three players have 15 or more tackles this year and be a different person every week. And they have a person who's leading the country in forced fumbles too. So obviously taking care of the ball is important every week, but if somebody has that many forced fumbles, it's important.
No, you're right. Yeah, we've done a pretty good job up to this point. I think we're +1 in the turnover margin. We haven't got a whole lot, okay, on defense. We need to create more turnovers, but we also, Jace has, done a good job taking care of the ball and stuff. So we hadn't turned it over too many times. So no, that'll come into play again. When you're playing, when you're a possession team, was what we've been up to this point, and you turn the ball over, it's a problem. Okay, because you don't get as many possessions as you would like. So no, we've got a formula that we try to follow, and taking care of the ball is certainly one of those main proponents that we have to do.
Well, Coach, thanks for your time as always. Best of luck this weekend. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.